took a minute, didn't it? Hey, good to be here. I'm Chris. I'm the campus pastor here at Ross. I'm glad to be here with you tonight. Andy asked me to speak tonight. I'm going to be honest with you. If I'd known they were going to embarrass people for leaving things or losing things, I wouldn't have come. Honestly, I wouldn't have, because I lose things a lot. So I feel for you. But you should know that song. I don't know why you didn't sing it. We'll have it at the end. If you want to come back up, we'll try it again. All right? I'll do it with you. It won't be embarrassing for you. So I'm glad to be here with you. And so tonight we're talking, I don't know if you noticed the sign here, but we're talking about something that I want you to throw a few ideas out. Maybe you guys have some ideas. What do you think of when you think of justice? What do you think of when you think of justice? What's that? Pink shorts? Well, is that like a store, Justice? Isn't that where you buy those earrings? Isn't that like a place where they sell stuff like that? No? Okay, that's a good answer, I guess. There are no bad answers except that one. Go on, anybody else? Anybody else think of something when they think of justice? Mercy. Okay, good answer. What's that? Getting what you deserve. Getting what you deserve. Anybody else? Being fair. Fair and just, right? When I hear the word justice, I probably think of a courtroom, right? That's what I think of most. I also think of the Justice League. Both of the terrible versions of the Justice League that I had to watch, right? I also think of a song from Metallica. Does anybody know Metallica? Who listens to Metallica? Wrong answer! You shouldn't. No, I'm just kidding. I remember a song called Justice for All, that Metallica. That was my jam in high school. Yeah, it was crazy. Now, here's another question. We talk about justice. What do you think of when you think of love? What do you think of when you think of love? Anybody? What's that? I still don't understand what you said. Bigums? I don't know what that means, but that sounds good. It could be something inappropriate. That's fine. What's that? Bigum's a big version of you? That's what I am. I'm a big version of them. Hey, guys, this is your future. Didn't know if you knew. I sat right where you're sitting. All right, what else? What do you think of when you think of love? Kindness, all right. What else? Caring. That's a good one. Peace. That's a good one. Anybody else? One more. Love. What? Sacrifice. That's a good one. There's some guys in here, like, you know, when you talk about love, sometimes I think of like movies. Like my wife loves Hallmark movies. Those are all about love, I guess. Books. There's a lot of books about love, hearing stories about love. I mean, guys, if you're sitting in the room, I'm going to give you a piece of advice. Listen, it's okay to like romantic movies. It's okay. You can like them a little bit. Let me tell you, you're going to live rent-free in the heads of girls if you can admit to liking romantic movies. You guys be like, I don't like that stuff. Believe me, it's cool. So your sensitive side, appreciate some romantic movies. Whether you're into love stories or not, there's something about them that we can all relate to, right? We all want to feel loved by other people. We want to feel love. We feel that, right? And we have these extreme gestures of love that we see in some of these movies, if you can think of some of those, that accomplish that. Sometimes we do ridiculous things for love. But there's a not so ridiculous truth that lies underneath of these ridiculous gestures. Deep down, we all kind of understand three things, right? Here, this is what they are. Love isn't just an emotion you feel, all right? Love isn't just a word that you say. Love is something that you demonstrate with your actions, right? That's what love is. So here's an even tougher time. Can you remember a time, so we talked about justice, we talked about love, where you wanted to get revenge, where you wanted justice on someone you loved for something they did to you? That's a tough one. That's a hard thing, because when you love somebody, what? You don't really want bad things to happen to you. You want good things for them. But like, where's justice come in there, right? Now, I'm going to tell you, when I was in high school, I dated the same girl when I was in high school for like 4 years. And I thought I loved her. I did love her. I mean, truth be told, I did love her as a person. And then after all those years, she dumped me. And that happens, right? She gave me a list of reasons that in all honesty were fair and valid, but it hurt. I didn't see it that way. And so I wanted bad things to happen to her. I wanted justice for how I was made to feel. I ran her down to other people. And so she started dating another guy, and I wanted that relationship to fail. Like I wished for it. I prayed for it. Now, is that justice? I don't know. That's what I felt. So what is justice? Is it a punishment? That's sometimes what we think of when we think of justice, a punishment. A thing that happens to people when they're caught doing something wrong. Like when they go to prison, right? Is it revenge? Is revenge a type of justice? Like getting justice is the same thing as revenge against someone who hurt us. That's what sometimes we want to see them get hurt the same way we got hurt. Is justice a trend? That's a new thing. That's more popular now. Justice is a trendy term that gets thrown around a lot in politics, at protests, on social media. Like we want justice for a long list of things. Sometimes our need for justice is well-intentioned. We want that. Sometimes it's misguided, though. We want justice for things because we were hurt. And sometimes it's a little bit of both. But when we realize our idea of justice is actually, it's not just about revenge, there's a good chance, if we think it's just about revenge, it's a good chance we got it wrong. We don't really understand what justice is if that's what we think it is. I didn't know what justice was back then. That wasn't the right thing for me to think. There's this saying that goes like this: an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. You ever heard that saying, an eye for an eye? That's justice. That's a justice term. When you say, hey, they did something to me and I'm going to do it back to them, an eye for an eye. But if we keep doing that, we're all going to end up blind. That's what it means. If we're trying to get revenge every time we get hurt, that circle of pain, it never ends, because we get hurt, then we hurt someone, and then they hurt someone, and it keeps going. But what is the alternative to that? What alternative do we have? What do we do when something unjust happens to us? How do we respond when someone really hurts us? What do we do to balance out forgiving other people, right? That's important. The Bible tells us to forgive, but also standing up for ourselves. And is it possible that getting justice is more than just punishing people who've hurt us? So this leads to our big idea for tonight, which is this: justice is love in action. Justice is love in action. Now, for the next few weeks, you're going to be hearing and talking about justice. And you're going to take a look at a family from the Old Testament that's in the Bible, right? We're learning about the Bible right now in church. And so it's in the Old Testament that they not only experienced, but they also carried out unspeakable justice. And then in essence, it was unspeakable because it was injustice. So at the center of this story is a guy named Joseph. You may have heard of Joseph. Joseph was the second youngest sibling in this family of like 11 brothers. He had 11 brothers. And as the younger one of them, like, the Bible seemed to really paint Joseph in a really negative light. He was what we call a tattletale, right? How many of you guys have brothers or sisters that are tattletales? Yeah, get them up higher, because I know you all do, if you got brothers and sisters. I mean, his father asked him once, actually asked Joseph to keep an eye on his older brothers. Like, can you imagine if your parents said, hey, to your younger sibling, hey, keep an eye on your older sibling, right? See, and Joseph's older brothers weren't even his full brothers. They were half brothers. He was from a blended family, right? He had a different mom than he did his brothers. And so Joseph and his younger brother, whose name was Benjamin, had a different, they were separate, a little bit different than their other brothers. And so this created some sibling rivalry. And Joseph's brothers were convinced that Jacob, their father, loved Joseph more than them. And guess what? They were right. It was pretty clear. Jacob's favoritism created this like us versus them story with Joseph and his brothers. So there was tension, but Jacob reinforces this by giving, like, Joseph this bougie custom-made jacket, right? Have you all heard of the Technicolor Dream Coat, right? There was a play called the Technicolor Dream Coat, this coat of many colors. It was like, I don't even think it sounds like it looks good, if I'm going to be frank with you. It sounds horrible. But, like, it was this amazing coat, and he wore it, and it was like this symbol of Jacob's love for Joseph. It was like basically Jacob going, I want you to wear this thing that reminds your brothers how much better you are than them. I mean, in this world, it'd be like if your parents bought you some like J's or Yeezys, like your brother that, and made you wear like knockoffs. If you had to wear like the worst of the clothes, right? See, Jacob's gift made his brothers salty, and it made them angry with him. It was even bigger, made a bigger mess for them. I think we all want to be part of a family where we have unconditional love, right? Have you ever heard that? Do your parents, oh, I love you regardless, right? That's we want that. We want to be accepted for who we are. We want to be free from prejudice, from biases. We don't want any favoritism shown. Like, we feel that, right? You guys feel that? You want things to be level, even playing field. But Jacob didn't do that with Joseph. He treated him different. His personal preferences impacted how he loved his kids. And so a lot of people believe Jacob preferred Joseph simply because he liked Joseph's mom better than the previous mom. I mean, that's the truth. I mean, that sometimes happens in our world now even. You know, some kids have got, maybe you're in here tonight, like you maybe have your parents are from a mixed family, blended family, and like you think that your dad likes your current mom, your stepmom, or vice versa, your mom loves your stepdad more than he loves your actual mom. Maybe you feel like you're being treated unfairly simply because of who your parent is. Whatever that reason was, Joseph's dad, he created an unhealthy family dynamic. It wasn't just in that family. They probably felt, his brothers felt that. But to be honest, Joseph didn't help it either. There's a story right here. I'm going to read it to you from Genesis, all right? It's in Genesis chapter 37. And here's how this story goes. It says, Jacob lived in the land where his father had stayed, the land of Canaan. This is the account of Jacob's family line. Joseph, a young man of 17, was tending the flocks with his brothers, the sons of Bilhah and the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives, and he brought their father a bad report about them. Now, Israel loved Joseph more than any of his other sons because he had been born to him in his old age, and he had made an ornate robe for him. That's that robe we were talking about. When his brothers saw that their father loved him more than any of them, they hated him and could not speak a kind word to him. Joseph had a dream, and when he told it to his brothers, they hated him all the more. And you're going to understand why his brothers hated him here, because he's just bragging. Look at this. He said to them, listen to this dream I had. We were binding sheaves of grain out in the field when suddenly my sheaf rose and stood upright while your sheaves gathered around mine and bowed down to it. Can you, like, hey, you guys all bowed down to me. Imagine if your brother or sister said that to you. I'd knock my brother out if he said that to me. Don't do that, kids, okay? Don't be violent with your brother unless you put a pillow on your hand first. Then it's fine. His brothers said to him, do you intend to reign over us? Will you actually rule us? And they hated him all the more because of his dream and what he had said. Then he had another dream, and like he didn't learn enough from the first time. And he told his brothers, listen, he said, I had another dream. And I bet these guys' eyes are just rolling like, oh, Joseph had another dream. And this time the sun and the moon and 11 stars were bowing down to me. When he told his father as well as his brothers, his father now even gets upset with him, like, dude, shut up. And he said, what is this dream you had? Will your mother and I and your brothers actually come and bow down to the ground before you? His brothers were jealous of him, but his father kept the matter in mind. See, in Joseph's dreams, God revealed some important things. Like, this was God speaking to Joseph through his dreams, okay? But ouch, man, like, Joseph kind of like flexed on his brothers and his mom and dad a little bit there. Like, that's annoying. Like, if I'm telling you, like, that would annoy you. And even his dad, who loved him more than his brothers, was like, dude, you need to slow down a little bit. Your brothers are, like, real upset. I mean, it's true that God was speaking to Joseph through his dreams, and it's true that God showed Joseph his future, that one day he actually would be in a position of authority over his brothers. That's not really the point. The problem wasn't that Joseph had the dreams, right? It was the way that Joseph bragged about the dreams, the way he treated his brothers, the way he shared his dreams with his brother, and he lacked any love in it. Wasn't loving to tell them in that way. And so we sort of defined love a few minutes ago, right? Let's see if we define it a little more clearly with the help of some scripture, because remember what we said the big idea is justice is love in action. Justice is love in action. In the New Testament of the Bible, a long time after Joseph and his brothers were long gone, right? A guy named Paul wrote a letter to the Christians in a city called Corinth. And so in that letter, he gives us a definition of love. And so this is in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, 1 through 7. Here's what it says. If I speak in the tongues of men or of angels, but do not have love, I am only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have a faith that can move mountains but do not have love, I have nothing. If I give all I possess to the poor and give over my body to hardship that I may boast but do not have love, I gain nothing. And this love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, and always perseveres. You see what he said there? He said, if I do all of these things, and listen, Joseph was doing these things. He was making a bunch of noise. He was being told about how he would be in charge, and he was bragging about it, and he was not doing the things it talks about. He was not being kind. He was being proud. He wasn't being humble at all. He was boasting a ton. He didn't honor other people. It was all about him. And so what Paul says is if you do those things, but if you don't have love in your life, then you're just a clanging cymbal. Even if you've got these things that God has given to you, and you've got these talents, and you've got these abilities to do justice, right? You look for justice in your life, and you look for people to be treated fairly, but you're not doing those things in love, and the love that God teaches us about, then you're just like a clanging cymbal. How many people are in band? How many band people I got in here? Good, yeah. You know what? I was in band. I love band. And I played in the percussion. I was in the section. I played cymbal some. Listen, I'm going to tell you something. If I went over there and just hit that cymbal, it would not sound good. Truth be told, cymbals are loud. And when they're not played right, they don't sound good. They sound just like a really awful noise. Sounds horrible. Joseph was like that clang. He's over here going, well, I got this cymbal, and he's just banging on it as hard as he can. And his brother's like, dude, shut up. I mean, he could see the future, but he didn't have love. And so the dream meant nothing to his brothers. In fact, they hated Joseph. And so again, what you'll see over the next few weeks, Joseph's lack of love in this moment, it set a painful chain of events that he probably brought on himself a little bit. And so we'll ultimately get to see, and Andy and Brandon will share with you some of the things over the next few weeks about some heartache that could have been avoided if Joseph had chosen to take a different approach towards his family. So when you're thinking about justice and love, guys, just remember, sometimes we want justice for things, and our mind is on like mistreating people and making them feel the same way they felt to us. But I'll just challenge you, like when you read about Jesus in here, what was Jesus saying about love? What was Jesus saying about justice? Because truth be told, if justice was really meted out exactly how it was deserved, we'd all be in a pretty bad spot. We'd all be in a pretty bad place. Let me pray for us before we break up here.